I'm not a big Scott Boras fan. I don't think he's good for baseball. I think for the longest time, he has got teams to over market value players and get them to spend a lot more on players than they should. Not saying, like, and I want to preface this, I'm all about players getting their worth. I'm all about players getting money. Yeah, I'm not pro owner per se, but a lot of times Boras has way too much power, and you're going to see this in the next collective bargaining agreement, the amount of power he has, because he's mad now that owners are, he would say, colluding. I don't think they're colluding against his players, but I think they're playing it smart. I think he's, especially this year, you saw how he's not read the market correctly on 4 of his players, and it's costing his players money. I feel bad for Jordan Montgomery because he's not even listening to offers, because he's still listening to offers for Schnell, and there can be teams that want Montgomery and they're bidding first for Schnell before they even get to Montgomery. So like, I just feel that, like, in this situation, like, he over market valued what he thought Cody Bellinger was worth, or what teams were willing to spend. And you saw that all the teams were not willing to do that, and the Cubs weren't going to outbid themselves. And so Jed played it extremely smart and just waited until Cody wanted to come back, or they finally got where the numbers, the years on the contract came down to where Jed was comfortable, and the value in money, like, he still got pretty good chunk of change. Like, he's getting 30 the first 2 years and then 20 the last, but an opt out after every year. Like, I like it. And it's kind of like the Carlos Correa deal. But I think more teams are going to be doing that, especially now. You got to look at the rest of the Montgomery and Schnell, and who's the, I can't remember. Oh, Chapman. Like, they're going to probably get similar deals to that, where it's going to be 2 to 3 deals. So like, all MLB teams, like, I'm sure you have a spot for 1 year for those guys that you could do a 2-year contract or a 3-year contract with opt-outs and get them. If you need a guy this year, you could get Cubs. You could go and send and do the same exact deal and get Jordan Montgomery and put another horse in your rotation. Like, not saying they will. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Cubs are pretty much done, besides maybe a couple role pieces, which you saw them pick up Garrett Cooper and Dom Smith. And so they made other additions. But anyway, like, I'm glad that teams are starting to not give in to Boras. And so to see him, I don't know, squirm a little bit, it's fun.
Yes. Maybe we could call it a loss, a little bit of a loss for him. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan either, because I don't think he's a great person for baseball or sports in general. He's making things expensive for us everyday people to go out and watch a game. And like, I think he's hurt other clients in the past with, like, asking like a hefty price, big long contracts, and other teams haven't wanted to pay that for their players. But no, I think this deal that we got with Cody is a great deal for the Cubs and for Cody. At least it gives us like a little bit of a bridge until PCA is really ready to be the everyday center fielder.
Yeah. And like, kind of the way that I look at it is it does 2 things. It relieves some pressure on some guys, and it provides us a ton of flexibility. Like, when I talk about pressure, like, before Bellinger, it was like, okay, we're handing the keys to these young guys. We're handing the keys to PCA and to, like, partner up with Talkman out there. And we're handing the keys to Michael Bush to partner with Patrick Wisdom or Mervis over at first. And I mean, I was okay with that. I wouldn't have been as excited for the season knowing that would happen, but I could understand Jed, where he's not willing to go the 7 for 210 or $200 million contract. So for me, I was like, okay, I get it. And I would do the same thing, Jed. Let's ride with these other guys. Let's ride and see, give the keys to the young guys and see what we got. But now that we do have Cody, what it does is it relieves the pressure on those guys from having to be the guys. Because you have somebody that you can put into center, you can put into first, you can spell somebody that's maybe going through it a little bit and having a tough stretch, and you provide another lefty bat in the lineup. It only makes things better, and it even takes pressure off of Christopher Morel, or even like Dansby Swanson, to have another dude that has some pull in the clubhouse. Like, there's so much pressure. I think it takes off those guys. And my focus is just, it takes some pressure off the young guys to have to step up and be the guys this year.
Right.
This year.
I mean, it'll make the lineup card a little bit easier, because if we didn't get Cody back on the team for at least another season or two, now you're playing like you're dancing with Talkman's going to get this day, and then maybe it's Morale this day, maybe PCA over here, and then you also got Morale trying to play third base too, sharing spots with Wisdom. So it kind of takes a little bit of heat off the manager per se.
Yeah. And like the flexibility it allows Craig Counsell when writing lineups, like he has a ton of flexibility to, with when you have Canario in the fold, you have Morel, you have Madrigal, you have Michael Bush, you have Patrick Wisdom, you have Talkman, you have these guys that some of them can play multiple positions. They can, if Wisdom gets on his hot stretch, because Counsell knows he can get super hot at times, and sometimes you're gonna have to play him when he's in his hot stretch at third base, at first base, and at DH. There are three places where you can fit him in and still not lose time with a Morel or with a Michael Bush or with a Cody Bellinger. You can still have those guys in the lineup even when Wisdom is going through his hot stretch.